belated New Year. I hope it's a good one for everybody. This is the first video of the year, but also I think it's a very special one for all of us because it is the first time I'm covering any kind of Troma movie or Troma anything. If you didn't know, I'm a pretty big Troma fan. I'm actually not sure how I'm gonna title this video and stuff. I'll probably figure that out later, but we're gonna look at the new Troma movie, whose title I can't say because it's too early in the video to say swear words. Welcome to YouTube. But I'll put the cover on the screen for you or something. This movie actually came out a few years ago in 2020. I know a lot of us have waited with bated breath for this one to finally come out somewhere. It's a little bit of a musical. I'm traditionally not a big fan of musicals. There's only a handful of musicals that I actually like. Troma, though, that's a different story. You have, of course, Poultrygeist and Cannibal the Musical, and now this one. And it was directed by Lloyd Kaufman, who's a national treasure and must be protected at all costs. The basic plot of the movie here is a mad scientist named Prospero is plotting revenge on a pharmaceutical company who created a drug called Safespacia. Can you pick up on the things this movie is lampooning yet? But yeah, basically, okay, and bear with me now, but he gave a bunch of whales laxatives and orchestrated. These are my favorite kind of movies because just trying to give it a plot synopsis can be interesting. He gave laxatives to a bunch of whales, which caused them to shit all over the pharmaceutical company's cruise ship outing and forcing them to dock in beautiful Tromaville, New Jersey, so that he can lure Big Al, who is his former work colleague, and Antoinette, who is his sister, to his crack house to exact his revenge. It is an adaptation of The Tempest by William Shakespeare. Pardon me for being uncultured, but I can't compare it to that because I have not seen The Tempest in any form or read it. So yeah, I'm not the guy to speak to the accuracy of the adaptation, but it's a Troma movie. I don't think anybody expects it to be too close. They're definitely going to take all the liberties they can to make it entertaining. I will say it does have a Romeo and Juliet love angle thrown in there that I don't think was in the actual Tempest. That kind of goes on between Miranda, who is Prospero's blonde daughter, and Ferdinand, who is Big Al's son. And I think they just threw that in there to add another layer to the story. But yeah, if you haven't gathered it from all of the things I just told you, this movie is pretty fucking crazy. I mean, leave it to Lloyd Kaufman to make a movie shitting on cancel culture and at the same time doing everything he can to piss those people off. If you're not familiar with Troma movies or just these kinds of movies, I mean, I don't know, these days it might give you a fucking heart attack if you're a certain type of person. Luckily, the movie does you the service of letting you know in the first 5 minutes exactly what you're getting into. They show a pretty heinous scene right at the beginning and then jump right into a satirical commercial for a pharmaceutical company with a bunch of whiny kids with first world problems talking about the benefits of the drug Safespacia.
My doctor told me I suffered from entitlementia.
Entitlementia is a disease that commonly afflicts middle to upper class people between the ages of 18 and 30.
So just dropping that on you, it gives you plenty of time right off the bat to back out, go watch something else if this isn't your thing. And it keeps that energy through the whole runtime of the movie. You get the normal Troma, insane cast of characters. Lloyd's pulling double duty. He plays Prospero. He also plays his sister, Antoinette. Easily, in my opinion, the two best characters in the movie. You also get barraged with whiny social media, keyboard warrior types, a couple of corrupt third world leaders, and just a ton more It has all the Troma staples going in. You've got all the gross out effects, really long, drawn out, awkward sex scenes, and like an overwhelming amount of background, like Easter eggs going on. It's all immature as shit. It's 100% a like, you either love it or hate it kind of thing. I mean, hopefully, if you're here, you like Troma, or at least are open to it. And if that's the case, you're probably going to dig it. The main component to these movies is that like Troma charm and self-awareness and heart among all of the like offensive, immature humor. Also, honestly, like to get a little more serious about Troma movies here for a second. Alongside all that, you always get, at least with like the in-house Troma movies, just the, you know them if you see them kind of Troma movies, and not just something they picked up to distribute, but they always have that underlying like message in every one of them that's basically like the driving force of Troma Studios itself, which is basically fuck our evil corporate overlords. Ever since Toxic Avenger, there's always a subplot involving like corruption or negligence or control by like government bodies or corporations. A lot of real cartoony, tongue-in-cheek, like mustache twirling type of shit. And through all that humor, it's always trying to point out like some serious stuff that's going on just by the like group of people up there in their little towers. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you're watching this video, you are not one of those people. So that being said, like it is a persistent problem that affects all of us, no matter what side of the like more modern political coin you're on, with a lot of like more superficial internet politics that people go back and forth about. Troma always shines a light on the big looming problem we have that these days gets suppressed a lot. It's that sleeper problem that we all just live with and needs more attention. So yeah, I won't like dwell on it too long, but this movie definitely has that underlying like message. Prospero is the little guy who got shit on by a corporation, and it was made worse by modern like internet politics. So that part of it is as focal as the like social justice lampooning in the movie is the pharmaceutical industry lampooning. I think movies like this that push boundaries and question stuff are important. I think Troma is one of the last sources of movies that are doing this kind of shit, as few and far between as they are. And so yeah, I think it's important to support them, and I think it's important to seek out and support other people who are still willing to like put art of any kind out there that goes against the grain and pushes boundaries and questions things. And I think as much as Troma movies are really immature, stupid, like live action cartoons with like fart noises where they don't need to be and shit, they still have that like message for the people thing going on. That if you become a Troma fan, it really pulls you in. I think that's probably the predominant reason most people are Troma fans. That hasn't like deteriorated at all. A Troma movie's a Troma movie, whether it was shot on film in the 80s or shot in 2020 on digital. In the current landscape, it stays true to itself, keeps its identity. And also, I'll say about the ending of the movie, I won't give too much away, but the third act of this movie, dare I say, rivals the shunting, which is saying a lot. I'll leave that as vague as possible so that you can go discover it for yourself if you'd like to. And yeah, okay, so like as much as I'm sitting here giving this movie like the rub because I'm a Troma fan, it's not perfect. I will say the lead girl, Miranda, is not my favorite. Her performance in a lot of scenes was extremely extra.
Oh yeah.
And it got a little grating for me at times. I honestly think if she had toned it down a little bit, or like even her and Ferdinand, the love interest, had played their like love story parts a little more straight, it might have brought a little levity to the movie. The way they did it, it did seem like a little bit of a rehash of Tromeo and Juliet, but with like way less impact. But still, that's like a huge, overly critical thing to say about a movie like this, though. You know what you're getting, and you're not expecting exactly to be like moved emotionally. But I mean, compared to like Romeo and Juliet, I'm all in on their love story. And in that one, I would say they played their parts a little more straight, while all the crazy trauma shit happened around them more often than not. But yeah, not too huge of a problem for me. I just wanted to point it out so I wasn't just giving this like that blind love just because I like this kind of thing. But everything else, honestly, about the movie was pretty spot on. I've already watched it a couple of times. Troma movies are great to just like throw on in the background, and I've done that with this one quite a few times already. It's getting obviously an easy 4-star rating from me. Take that for what it is though. Again, like if for some reason you're here and you don't like Troma movies, you're not gonna like it. If you've never seen them, it's like a real roll of the dice if you're gonna like it. Plenty of people will hate this movie. I just happen to not be one of those people. I'm a huge Troma fan. This, in my opinion, is Troma and Lloyd Kaufman like flexing a little bit, showing that they've still got it. And, you know, Lloyd is already working on his next movie, so that's exciting going forward. But yeah, it's just good to know Troma is still doing it. I highly recommend watching this. Watch it with your whole family. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.
It's a shitstorm on the island.